Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Real Positive Girl podcast with me, Sabrina. This is the show that helps you become your best self. And today we are going to talk about how to improve relationships. Relationships need work, not pain. But before we get to that, as always, I want to invite you to come say hi to me on social media. I am at Sabrina Joy Perozo on both TikTok and Instagram. And if you need help spelling that, if you can just pop down and check the show notes below. It's written out there for you. And while you're down there, you can also check out signing up for the weekly newsletter that, yes, is behind by a couple episodes. We will catch up soon. I apologize for allowing the holidays and all my commitments to get in the way of that. We'll get back on track soon. There's also a spot for you to submit topic suggestions anonymously. And so if you want me to talk about something specific, but you don't want me to know it's you, go ahead and pop that in. Something that I feel like people are missing out on is the ability to vent anonymously. So if you don't have anyone in your life that is emotionally available for you to vent to, but you need to get something off your chest so that you can just, move on with your life, there is a link down there for you to vent anonymously and just be able to share the thing. And usually I'll just go in there once a week or once every 2 weeks. I will look and see what people have written. I'll just pray over it. But it's still, I will never know that it's you. So check that out. Also, you can still purchase the planner journal hybrid that I created called Emotions Every Day. And I want to say that this is created for people that don't like journaling but want to be able to kind of jumpstart their emotional growth and be able to, do it efficiently, answer a couple prompts every day that takes 5 to 10 minutes and kind of gets you in that groove, that habit that will last for 90 days and kind of just like a jump start. If you're an avid journaler, this is probably not for you because there's not a lot of room for you to write. You could still purchase it, obviously, and find another space to write more about that, but I am coming out with another product next year. My goal is by the end of the first quarter of the year to come out with a journal that is more geared towards people that are avid journalers by offering you an ability to have a prompt and then have a whole page to write it, but also on the other page. So it'd be on the left side of the page, I'd give you the prompt, and then I would also kind of go through my suggestions and a way for you to think deeper about the prompt that maybe you would, and kind of shift your perspective and what to expect, so that if you are an avid journaler, it'll kind of just give you a different way to think about the prompt. Or if you're new to journaling but you want to get into it, it'll kind of guide you through how to think about it. And then on the other side of the page, on the right side, you'll have the prompt and you'll be able to write out all your thoughts, and it'll be like that for 60 or 90 days. I haven't decided how long yet. So that is to come if you are an avid journaler. Just wanted to kind of put that out there because that is something I'm in the works of creating and developing. I'm very excited about it. So anyway, but that's it. So check out everything in the show notes below. Let's go ahead and jump into today's topic, which again is how to improve relationships. Relationships need work, not pain. So I started all of the relationships I was in as a people pleaser. Obviously, I say obviously because if you're not new here, you know that I talk about on the regular that I struggled with being a people pleaser. I still do, but I feel like I am now in recovery for being a people pleaser. I am, kind of not dealing with it as much. I am so darn aware of how much it has taken over my life, and I am working to eradicate that as much as possible. But it's just a problem, right? And I'm sure you understand that too if you were also kind of in the same season, same boat, where you were working towards not allowing that behavior to take over, encompass your whole entire life. But yeah, so when I started all my relationships, I was a people pleaser. And this meant that I would always be catering to what their needs are, taking the blame for anything going wrong, and never even sharing my needs. Never even being hey, it'd be really great if this happened, or if we did this, or whatever, but just accepting whatever attitude, abuse, or attention that I would get, and, making the most of it, right? Just kind of trying to find the silver lining of all that crap that I was being handed. And, it's nice to say now that I know this isn't the best way to be in relationships. Hindsight is 2020, but it's nice that I actually did realize that, because I feel like some people don't always come to the conclusion that that was not the best place to be, and that your hindsight 2020 experience comes later. And mine obviously came later, but I'm glad that it came now and not significantly later. And this is romantic or not, but even thinking about it, it still hurts to think how I let myself be taken for granted and not appreciated as much as I should, as much as I should have been. And it's crazy to even be able to confidently say that, yeah, I should have been treated better. And so hopefully there are things in your life where you've come to realize that you should have been treated better, and you know it. You know it and you believe it. And that is so good because you are honoring the amazing person that you are. You are creating those boundaries of understanding that you deserve more, and you care about yourself enough to recognize that and do everything you can to uphold that belief, that boundary, that need for yourself, right? But I also want you to know that I'm not saying it was all the fault of the person that I was with, like in the relationship, because it is definitely like my fault that I didn't stand up for myself or attempt to instigate any sort of change. And it's important that we do take responsibility for the fact that, maybe we were taken advantage of and abused and hurt and everything, but if we didn't try to get out of it, if we didn't try to stand up for ourselves even a little bit, then we have to be to blame. And I know that's really sucks. And I know some people are going to immediately be like, absolutely not. I disagree. I'm not going to listen anymore. I get it. I get it. But we cannot allow ourselves to be a victim. It would be one thing if you did try to, and then you were just all wrapped up in their manipulation and all of the things that they were doing and gaslighting you and stuff. That's different, right? You actually are trying to, remove yourself. But if you don't do anything and you blame it on the fact that they, you know, convinced you and you got all wrapped up in it, I don't know. I just think that if you didn't like try to recognize that you deserve as much of a say in a relationship as that person does, then you have to accept the responsibility that you didn't, you know, decide to do something about it. It's a tough topic, and it's part of the reason I haven't talked about it before is because it's going to be a really tough thing to talk about in full, deeply, really getting into the nitty-gritty. I'm not ready to do that yet. I need more time to research, but I think it's tough. It's like if we are fully like aware of what's happening and we know that it's wrong, right? Because I'm sure there are going to be some times where we just didn't realize it was wrong until later. Okay, I'll give you that much. Like obviously, we just get so wrapped up in it, and our mental health could be deteriorated, and we can just kind of like even like Stockholm syndrome, where we just end up just totally adapting to that person. But if we are fully aware and understand that what's happening is not good and that things need to change and we don't change, we have to take some of that responsibility that we didn't do anything about it. And that sucks. Being a people pleaser or just allowing someone to treat you a certain way is just not only their fault. You have to take responsibility, at least trying to get changes to happen. If you don't, you're allowing yourself to be a victim. But if you have tried to do something about the way people treat you, as I was saying, and nothing changes, it's a whole different situation. Okay, so just hear me out. If you disagree, that's great. That's fine. I welcome that. I do. I welcome disagreements and people feeling a different way and their own perspective and knowledge and research and all of that. And if you would like to talk to me about that, you can reach out to me and DM me on Instagram or send me an email to realpositivegirlpodcast@gmail.com or get in touch with me in any way that you want and share how you feel differently. And I think that's great. But I think, and this is where I'm going to stop talking about it until I find the best way to talk about it, is that if you are fully aware, hear me when I say if you are fully aware, right? If you're not fully aware, I get it. You're wrapped up in it. But if you are fully aware of what's happening and how you are being hurt, right? And you know that something needs to change, but you don't do anything about it. And I know that some people will say, well, I was in fear because they said they're going to do this, that, and the other if I ever did this, that, and the other. But you didn't do anything. You didn't try to reach out to anyone. It's like, you got to do something at some point. And believe me when I tell you that I know this to be true. Sometimes you have to take a chance to get out from under the abuse. You have to. You have to figure out a way. You got to find someone to help. You got to do something, or you'll be trapped in it until either someone else realizes what's happening to you and they try to, rescue you from it, or you don't. You're left there in pain. I'm just saying. So consider that. It's a whole different situation if you just tried and nothing happened, or you just didn't know. You didn't know. Okay. So moving on, I'm sure that you're familiar with the idea that relationships take work. You got to put in the time, energy, and willingness to communicate with each other and figure out whatever it is. Whatever it is, you got to figure it out. And, I think a lot of people don't realize that putting in work is different than taking abuse and being pushed around. And, that can happen in relationships that aren't dominated by abuse and controlling and stuff like that. Sometimes those things are woven into a quote unquote traditional normal, I hate using that word, it's kind of weird nowadays, but quote unquote normal relationship. And then because people don't realize what they're doing, or they do, and then they get called out for it, and there's communication that happens, and then things get fixed and even out and realized, and things like that. Things get better, right? But yeah, I feel like a lot of people just don't realize that, the work that's happening will happen from both ends, not just one. One person isn't supposed to shoulder all of the work in a relationship. When you put work, when you put in the work in a relationship, you are doing what you believe will help you get on the same page with that other person, understand each other better, and minimize any fights or disagreements that lead to larger fights, larger blowouts, and hurt feelings, and disappointment, and threats, and all of these things that can happen when we are upset with people, right? But again, we need to be aware of what doing the work actually looks like, and what someone that is more controlling and manipulative would see as you doing work, but it's really hurtful and not helpful and possibly abusive. So today I want to share with you examples of what it looks like to put work into a relationship, and what it looks like when you're just being abused and taken advantage of. So I'm going to give you 5 examples of what it looks like it how am I supposed to say this, blah blah blah. So first I'm going to give you 5 examples of what putting the work into a relationship is not, and then I'm going to give you 5 examples of what putting work into a relationship is, right? And so a lot of times with the list of things that are not examples of putting work into a relationship, people think it's how they put work into a relationship, and that's not true. It's just not. And so I want to help you debunk those thoughts, those myths, those mindsets. And then the next list is really just a basis for you to lean on if you do want to know what doing the work is, and places where you can start doing the work if you feel unsure of what to do, and give you a jumping off point. But before we dive into those lists, as always, I want to let you know that these tips and this advice is based on my own knowledge and research and own experiences and the experiences of others, and I am allowed to share it with you. And if you feel like none of this aligns with you and what you need to figure out how to put the work in a relationship and what you should or shouldn't be doing, I encourage you to seek out and chat with a therapist, a counselor, and have that one-on-one opportunity to figure out what aligns with you best. If you don't want to do that, then I encourage you to go to our best friend Google and type in how to put the work in a relationship, and then it'll come up with lots of articles and blogs and knowledge for you to figure out on your own and figure out what you need to do, okay? So here are 5 examples of what putting work into a relationship is not. We're going to start with the nots. So number one, trying to change the other person. I've done a whole episode on this, so if you want to go look and listen to that one about how you cannot change someone and only people can change when they decide to change, when they make that personal decision to change, please do if you need more, like a deeper dive into this. But putting work into a relationship is not forcing someone to change so that they fit all of your beliefs, all the things that you like to do, all the things that you think that are right and correct and would work best in a relationship. Now, sometimes you can help someone realize that maybe doing something in a different way is a better fit for them, or how it would be best for them to come alongside what you're doing, but they still have to make that decision on their own. But trying to change someone is not doing the work. It's being manipulative, actually, in a relationship. It's not helping anything. It's kind of making things worse because you're trying to make them into someone that they are not. And it creates even more struggle and problems and issues later down the line when you guys are trying to work on communication and, get to know each other better. And it just becomes so difficult. So trying to change the other person is not putting the work in the relationship. Actually, it's really just creating more work that'll have to be done later. Number two, walking on eggshells. Walking on eggshells is not doing the work. Walking on eggshells is actually avoiding doing any work in the relationship. It's avoiding having any tough conversations and you actually doing the things that you need to do without fully worrying what that other person will say or do or how they will react. Walking on eggshells is not having those moments where you need to be honest and real with that person. You're really just trying to keep the peace. And that peace will only be kept for so long, and then there'll be a big blowout because as opposed to like walking on eggshells and being very careful, you're still hiding all of those things that need to come out, all those emotions that need to be expressed, and all those truths that need to be shared. And they all just come out like explosion, like a volcano, all at once, and it'll be such a mess to clean up. So walking on eggshells is definitely not a way for you to be able to put in work in a relationship. Number three, tolerating dishonesty. Like flat out, if you're okay with people lying and being dishonest with you, and you know that they're being dishonest, that's definitely the opposite of putting the work into a relationship, right? You're just allowing them to tell you things that aren't true. And what, again, are you doing it to keep the peace? Are you doing it because they lashed out at you once when you did ask them why they lied or what they're lying about or what the reason is, or really diving into that topic? And if that's the case, shouldn't that be a red flag to you that you're like, oh, I might need to like figure out like why they're getting upset with me calling them out on their lies when they did lie? And that's not good. That's not a good situation. So it's important to, really figure out why they're lying and then, actually shift into putting in the work of like, okay, let's figure this out. Or we might need to like not be together if they're not willing to be more honest. And so tolerating dishonesty is not putting in any work into the relationship because it's really just adding more burden to you to have to deal with. You know what I mean? Number four, allowing them to be disrespectful. So if they say rude things to you, if they talk down to you, right? If they don't treat you with respect, they demean you, that's not putting in the work into a relationship. Allowing them to do these things to you because they find it hard to change these behaviors, or they see you in a certain way, or they don't want you to look better than they do. This is not putting the work into a relationship. This is actually you, again, shouldering more burden than you absolutely have to, right? And if you're allowing them to be disrespectful to you, like, why are you in this relationship? What are you gaining from this that you would rather allow them to be disrespectful then break up with them and find someone better, or just be on your own for a while, right? You don't always need someone if you're in that season of life of trying to find like your, forever partner. But yeah, allowing them to be disrespectful to you, no, you're not doing the work. You're adding more work to your plate to do later down the line, like many of these other ones. And number 5, having your boundaries crossed regularly. It is perfectly acceptable for you to have boundaries with your partner, despite what they may say. They may try to convince you that, oh, since you're so close, you don't need boundaries. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Like, and if they don't think you do, and you like, but you do, you need to talk to a therapist. You need to see if you can get them into like at least a couple couples counseling sessions with you for it's I feel like, in my experience, it's easier for a therapist to describe to the other person why things are important because it comes from an authority figure. Despite you doing all the research and showing them articles and telling them what would be better and what would work better for the relationship, sometimes it just needs to come from like an authority figure of that specific topic, and that's fine. And so you can have someone tell them why it's important and why it's acceptable for couples and people in relationships to have boundaries. So if they are regularly crossing your boundaries, again, you're not putting the work. This is not you doing work in a relationship to allow them to cross boundaries. Again, you're just shouldering a bigger, worse burden. You're being treated unfairly, disrespectfully, and what are you gaining from them crossing your boundaries, especially if they get all bent out of shape when you end up crossing theirs? Like, totally unfair and hypocritical. Absolutely not. Okay, so that's the entire list that I have today for 5 examples of what putting the work into a relationship is not. Let's go ahead and switch over to 5 examples of what putting work into a relationship actually really is. Number 1 is working on your triggers. So again, this kind of comes back to not allowing yourself to be a victim, not allowing yourself to blame the other person for you feeling a certain way. So if they end up doing something and that's a trigger for you to be really upset or angry or sad or just feel like you totally shut down, it's not their fault, okay? Yes, they may have done something that triggered it, and if they did something that wasn't done in like malice or wanting to hurt you, right? It's important for you to share that with them, but that shouldn't be their burden to bear fully, and the expectation for them to just do like act how you want them to act so that you don't have to experience that trigger. You should also work on your triggers, work on not allowing yourself to be triggered by that as much, and kind of come to this like agreement, this like table where you figure it out with them of like, hey, is there any way we can kind of curb this, but also I'm going to work on not allowing myself to react versus respond when this comes up. So working on your triggers, taking the responsibility to know it's only for you to work on and change and shift, so that that is we're doing work in a relationship because you're taking responsibility for your thing, but also asking for help and assistance from the other person and seeing what they can do on their end, while also not just trying to blame them and push it all on them. Working on your triggers, that's definitely doing work in a relationship. Number 2, practicing patience and being kind. Patience sucks. It's a hard one. It's a hard one. I feel like being kind is so much easier than being patient, for reals. But practicing patience and being kind are definitely 2 things of putting work into a relationship, because a lot of times it can be really hard to be patient with someone when you feel like you could have gotten something done quicker, you could have understood something quicker, and you could have, caught on to something quicker, and, you could have learned from something quicker, right? You're always comparing it to like how we would have done it, when in reality, that's not fair, because we're all different people. We learn things differently and we run our lives differently and all this stuff. So it's important that it is putting in work to practice patience, to work on being more patient and understanding and being calm and giving someone a chance to better understand like what you feel they did wrong and what could happen moving forward and how they felt about it and what they thought happened, right? And then being kind, not immediately running to this person in the relationship and yelling and screaming at them and putting them down and making them feel and like trying to, you know, tell them that they're crap and, and push them to maybe decide to feel bad about themselves and shame and guilt and all this stuff. Like, be kind. This person, you're supposed to care for them in some sort of way, whether platonic or romantic, and showing them that you care and appreciate them is not going to be from you yelling and screaming at them or being unkind or being rude or mean or just so, like awful when you speak to them. So practicing patience and being kind is definitely an example of putting work into a relationship. Number 3, learning to compromise. This is probably like one of the biggest ones when you are, putting in the work of a relationship. Learning to compromise is so darn important. So darn important. Because there are going to be times where you want it one way and they want it another, and you're just going to have to compromise. You're going to have to meet in the middle and decide, okay, how about you do this for me and I will do this for you, and then we'll come together and it'll be amazing. Amazing. You can't see me right now unless right now, like in this moment, I'm doing spirit fingers because it's going to be amazing when you're able to compromise. And sometimes you'll have to give up things that you would prefer for the sake of them getting what they prefer. But when you do compromise, you're supposed to go back and forth. So it's okay for you to not get everything that you want and them to get more one time, and then it switch another time, really just going back and forth. The teeter-totter, the seesaw is not going to be completely balanced all the time at all. It's going to be higher in one person's favor and then like change depending upon what's going on. So learning to compromise, coming to that table together, deciding what you can do to get on the same page and everyone to be decently happy and acceptable with what's happening is work. But it's such good work to do, because also if you decide to compromise on something, you might actually learn more about that person, and you might actually learn more. Like if you compromise on a place to go on vacation and you learn more about that place that you didn't even think of wanting to go, but you decided to go because they said they would also allow you to rent jet skis while you're there, and that's something that you really wanted to do. Cool. You get to kind of do something that you want to do, but learn more about them and learn more about something else that you were totally not interested in, which might be helpful and it might not. But again, compromise will go back and forth. Number 4, communicating your needs. Communicating your needs. It's important that if you need time alone, you share that with them, because they're not going to read your mind, and you should have no -10 expectations that they read your mind. It's unfair. It's this unrealistic expectation. Even if you tell them, I need you to read my mind, it's still unfair because you can't do that. It's not existent. That's not like, no one has that superpower except for God, but that's different. And they can't read your mind. You shouldn't expect that. It's so unfair. So communicate your needs. Share with them. Hey, I need alone time. Or hey, I'd really prefer if you didn't do things this way. Can we talk about a better way? Or hey, I really need to understand why you're doing this. Or, why we need to make this decision so quickly. Communicate your needs. Or hey, it'd be really great if we could change this or do that, because it'd be really great for me in these ways, but also it might benefit you in these ways. Like communicating your needs can also be like coming to the table and being like, hey, can we figure this out? Because I really need this, but I also found that you might need this too, and this is how we can, get this and move forward. So you can also compromise while communicating your needs, and it's not uncommon for those things to go together. So you have to actually communicate your needs. That's putting work into a relationship. That's sharing things without it being dragged out of you, without someone trying to read your mind, and without you being passive aggressive about getting someone to share those. No, you just share those from the jump. Tell them. How will they know if you do not tell them? How will they know? Okay, number 5, the last one, is asking for help. Asking for help. It's important. Doing work in a relationship will definitely include asking for help, and that's so super important. If you need help with something, you need help understanding something, you need help doing something, ask them. Putting work in is asking for help, knowing that you don't need to do it all on your own. You don't have to do it all on your own, especially if you don't want to do it all on your own. Ask for that help. Ask for that assistance. Ask for that shoulder to lean on. Ask for someone to help you solve your problems. Ask for them to stop being a problem and realizing that they might be a problem, maybe not, and just really come to that conclusion with them. Figure it out. Really figure it out. So ask for help. Just be direct about it. Don't be passive aggressive. And allow them to ask you for help. And you figure out a way for you to have the most positive response you can, especially if you don't want to help, but you know that you need to help, because that would be a really nice thing and kind thing to do in this relationship. But that's all of the tips I have for you. 5 for what isn't putting work into a relationship and what is putting work into a relationship. And I appreciate you listening and talking about the show to people, sharing the show with people, downloading the show, and still, being here. What an awkward ending. But yeah, thank you so much for listening to the Real Positive Girl podcast again with me, Sabrina. I will see you guys next week. Well, at the end of the week. That's when the next episode's coming out. I'm really excited about it. I'm excited because I've already written it, and that rarely happens where I've already written it. So I'm already really excited, which is probably another reason why this ending is really awkward and weird compared to normal. But thank you so much for listening, downloading, and sharing. Until next time, have a good one, and I'll see you next time. Don't forget to check the show notes below. Bye, friends. Bye.